A lot of the differences boils down to what you guys believe or what you believe the role of government should be in society or individual lives or just in general. So we can start with that and then we'll kind of move into more current and relevant, well, not that that's not relevant, but more current topics as we continue the discussion. But I think this is a good place to start us off. So for you, what's the role of government in both the individual life within society, and what if you were to kind of summarize your feelings on the role of government, what would it be?
Um, for me, I think it's like the fine line between the people working above us within government, and you have the people that are under. So you have the average middle class American. So I think it kind of boils down to you have to have that perfect balance. You don't want to have one have too much power over the other. So I think it's, just judicial, executive, and legislative sides of government. They're all there to ensure the prosperity of all Americans. Doesn't matter if you're on the left side, if you're on the right side. It's there to ensure the prosperity and to keep people at not I wouldn't say like at level, but because there's different types of classes of people that are in America right now. But I would just say just to kind of have a fair share for everyone. Where it's not too easy, not too hard. It's just right for everyone. So I think yeah, I just think government for me is just a system that ensures the prosperity of all Americans. That's just what I think it should be and what it should be going to. So I see
Sounds sounds good. Devin?
I agree with Will 100%. I definitely think that our government was put in place by the people to help us and to support us whatever we may feel like we need or want at the time. But at the same time, they're there to make sure that we still follow their follow the laws and make the laws for us that they feel like they think our country's morals and our basis should stand upon.
Sana?
Yeah, so I think it boiled down to protecting individual citizens. So I think early on it was against too much power from monarchy and being taxed at an unfair rate. Then it sort of moved into, all right, we're industrializing. There's a lot of just welfare issues against children and being overworked. So we put in a lot of regulation around, what's a fair work week, right? And then from there, looking at protecting citizens against things like FCC, or sorry, not FCC, but looking at really like food and drugs and how that affects an individual citizen. And then from there, domestic and international threats. I think now we're looking at a lot of breaches of trust and data mining and what's the future of people collecting our information. So I think there's a lot to be said about what those levels of protection are and making sure that nobody oversteps that right level of protecting or over overseeing, right? So you don't want them to have too much information. You don't want them to be overprotecting because that stifles like the free economy. But you also do need some type of regulation there to make sure that your houses aren't falling apart, our food isn't contaminated. So I think again, balance is really important.
Agreed. Theo?
Well, great answers, everyone. You pretty much said what I was going to say, I mean, in a nutshell. But what I will add is the concept of influence when you get to the legislative branch. And this is something I'm just waiting to see and go, yes, finally, I can get behind that. You're going to have to be able to work with the opposite party. I don't care who you are. You're going to have to find some level of compromise for yourself and for your constituents that voted you or elected you into office. And then you're going to have to come across the table and say, hey, all right, we need to do this for all Americans, not just for Republicans, not just for Democrats. We got to do this for everybody because it's a team effort, obviously. But I think a lot of politicians forget that, especially when they're running for office and they're all about shaming the other candidate or building themselves up to be better than the other candidate or saying just it's a bunch of just negativity, too much negativity for me, honestly. And that's what it boils down to for me every election. It's like, okay, well, again, we're picking between two folks that are pretty much saying the same thing about each other, and it's all negative. Like, what can I take out of this positive for myself? So I think the power of influence for the legislative branch is the biggest issue I see when it comes to balance of power.